Hi everyone, welcome back to my vlog. This is episode 3 of How to Beat Depression. I hope we're making a lot of progress, but let me introduce myself first in case this is your first time here. I am Lisa Kinoti. I am a singer and songwriter and recording artist and also a self-help junkie, which is why we're doing some self-help vlogs here as well. Originally from Nairobi, Kenya, and I live in the USA. I love both countries immensely, feel really happy and blessed to be a part of both. My Kenyan friends call me Kinoti, and my American friends call me Kinoti. However you want to pronounce my name is fine, just as long as you come over and spend some time with me on my vlog. Welcome. So we have been talking about depression for a little bit now. Why so much emphasis on that topic? Because somebody's going to talk about it. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, which is why I'm going to start this off with a quote that I got from healthyway.com. I like to do a lot of reading, a lot of research, so that when I come to talk to y'all, I know what I'm talking about. A lot of the stuff I talk about is also from experience, but this here is from healthyway.com. It says depression affects more than 15 million Americans every year and is the leading cause of disability in the US for people ages 15 to 45. 15 to 45. The median onset of depression is typically 32 years, and it occurs more often in women than in men. End quote. Okay, so we're talking about triggers today, okay? We're going to talk about triggers because we need to be aware of what things trigger us into a depressive episode. Because depression doesn't just come out of nowhere. There's always an explanation for it. There's always something that'll just cause it to start, and then it just is a domino effect. It just keeps going. So we're going to talk about, because last time we talked about how to be more aware of your thoughts, how to pay more attention to what you're thinking and how to catch that and how to reverse that and how to replace that with a good thought. If you haven't watched episode 1 and 2, please go back and watch episode 1 and 2, and while you're at it, watch the intro to my vlog as well. So triggers. We have, what is a trigger? It is something that causes something to happen. Like if you have a gun, you pull a trigger and the bullet comes out and something bad happens, right? Okay, so with depression, we have what is called triggers, and a lot of people who've never seeked help for their depression, they don't know about this. They don't know about this. They don't know that there are things that happen, or they do, or they see, or they hear that actually cause this to happen. So what we're going to talk about first is this is how I coin it. We have hard triggers and we have soft triggers. Okay. And this is how I categorized it into hard triggers and soft triggers. Hard triggers are those major things that happen in your life that you can't help it, that they happen, and then they trigger you into stress and depression for a while. This could be loss of a loved one through death, separation, or divorce. It could be social isolation, where you in an environment where you're isolated from other people and you're not able to socialize. It could be you moved into a new town and you don't know anybody, and all of a sudden you're isolated, right? It could be major life changes, like what I just said, moving to another city, or just trying to start a career that's really hard that you've never done before. It can sometimes cause you to feel inadequate and make you start to feel depressed about yourself. And then you have conflicts in relationships, toxic relationships. Sometimes a relationship is not toxic, you just are having conflict. And people say bad things when they're angry. People say horrible things sometimes when they're angry. And somebody that you love might say some things to you that cause you to feel less about yourself. And then next thing you know, you're feeling depressed. Toxic relationships too. Toxic relationships, any relationship is negative most of the time. And being in a toxic environment like that, yes, it'll cause you to be depressed. It'll cause you to eventually deteriorate mentally, and then you're going to start being depressed. Physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. That's a huge one. I can't tell you how many times I've heard young ladies, and even men, but young ladies that were abused sexually growing up, and they block it out somehow, but then they're always depressed and they don't know why they're depressed. And this is why I always encourage people to seek help, because I always say professionals are trained to listen without judgment and to pull that out, whatever it is. It takes time. You have to keep going back, but they're trained to help you figure out what causes it, what's the trigger, because sometimes we block out triggers, like say you get sexually abused when you're really young. There's what we call a defense mechanism. Your body and your brain finds a way to defend itself, and one of the ways is you have some kind of memory loss. You can't remember what happened to you. So you're always like, I don't know why I feel sad all the time. I don't know why I feel negative all the time. But you've blocked that out. You've blocked the cause out. You've blocked the incident out. And you kept the feelings that came with it. Feelings are completely different than thoughts. Those two work completely different. You can block certain thoughts out. You can block certain memories out. But it's really hard to block feelings. They come out somehow. So those are the hard triggers. There might be more hard triggers y'all can think about. You can comment and let me know. Y'all can have a little discussion going. But then I want to talk about the soft triggers. Soft triggers are sometimes the ones that we don't even realize. You have major triggers. You can tell somebody's depressed because they just lost a loved one. But when you come to soft triggers, those are the ones that most people overlook, and then they wonder why they always feel miserable. My biggest one is the news. It is good to watch the news. It's good to know what's going on in the world. But sometimes people overdo it. People watch the news all the time, 24/7. They just watching the news. And most of the time, the news is bad news. And so you're sitting there and you are taking in mentally all these bad images and bad things that are happening around the world. And then you wonder why you don't feel happy, why you feel paranoid all the time, why you think the world's about to end all the time, why you think that they're about to drop a bomb over your head all the time, why you think that everybody out there is a serial killer. Because the stuff you're watching, which actually leads me to the next thing I was going to say, which is movies, And we all fall short in this. There's some movies I like, there's some shows I like that are kind of questionable. There might be a little bit of violence there, because we're not going to sit here and lie to each other and act like we're so holy and pious and we don't watch anything and, whatever. But we all make that mistake. Not everybody watches the news all the time, but most people watch TV. Most people watch movies and shows and all that. And sometimes you have movies that concentrate on a lot of violence. And the funny thing about the human brain is we have a conscience, and it'll tell you when you're watching something and it's disturbing, when you find yourself turning away like, oh, or you find yourself can't sleep at night. Maybe you shouldn't watch that stuff. And I'm not here to be preachy and tell you what to do with your life. No, we're trying to help people that are depressed and don't know why they keep feeling depressed. We're talking about soft triggers. So we're being real here and honest with ourselves, right? So there are things that we watch sometimes, and it's fun to watch them because it gets your adrenaline rolling. Nobody wants to watch a boring show or a boring movie that nothing is going on. People want stuff that puts you on the edge of your seat. That's human. It's normal. You want things that get your adrenaline going, and you're like, oh, what's about to happen now? Watch out, girl. He's in the corner with a knife. people want to watch that, but if you, and some people are strong enough to watch stuff like that and move on with their lives and not lose a night of sleep and not apply that to their lives and not be paranoid. But if you know yourself and you know that you tend to absorb things like a sponge, you know that things disturb you, you think things, you overthink things. If you know that about yourself, then you've got to be aware of your soft triggers and you got to avoid them. You have to avoid them. Maybe we should watch some comedy, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you feel happy, something that makes you feel hopeful about life, about love, about everything, right? So, another soft trigger would be alcohol and certain drugs. They could be placed on the hard triggers, but the reason I put it on the soft triggers is because a lot of people don't realize that what you ingest can affect your mood. You could be taking a prescription, it's causing you to be depressed and you didn't know that. And you're wondering why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Some people, alcohol has that effect on them. It's a downer. They say alcohol is a downer. So it makes you feel, some people like it because it makes you feel mellow, but a lot of times if you're already a depressive person, it'll make you feel even more depressed. So those are things you gotta watch out for. Certain foods that you take that that can make you, like, I'll give you an example. Like with me, I had to really reduce my intake of flour, breads and pastries and stuff like that. Part of it was because I was trying to lose weight, and the other part was because I started noticing that I would get sluggish, and at first I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't know what was going on. But then I working in the restaurant industry and running into people that have gluten allergies, and I had a lady explain it to me that wheat and white flour and all that, they have gluten in them, and sometimes people have a gluten reaction. Might not even be an allergy, but you can have a reaction and not even know it. And some foods you might be eating can cause you to feel sluggish, which causes you to feel depressed because you don't feel like doing anything. You see what I'm saying? So we're going deeper into this. Last week we talked about how to get you out of bed, how to get you to do something that you enjoy, how to get you to start loving yourself. And in that process, then you start educating yourself about depression and about what causes it and about how to beat stuff and what the triggers are and all that. And the more you do that, because you're doing something good for yourself, you're gonna feel a lot better. You're gonna start to feel a lot better. Going into music can be a soft trigger. If you had a bad breakup, and then a song comes up and it's talking about something like that, and it makes you feel melancholy all of a sudden, you change the channel. I mean, nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying you gotta listen to this song. Just watch out for things that make you feel bad. Let me tell y'all something. We're programmed from when we're little kids somehow that it's not good to try to make yourself feel good. Some of you haven't been through that, so you don't understand what I'm saying, but we feel guilty about taking care of ourselves, want to make ourselves feel good, feel better, and not concentrating on other people. We feel like we should put ourselves in the back banner and take care of other people first. So what I'm saying is, stop that. You can't take care of other people when you can't even get out of bed because you feel so bad. So let's work on us. Let's work on you. Let's work on ourselves. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. Find things that make you feel good. Reject things that make you feel bad. Toxic relationships, toxic friends, toxic spouses, toxic movies, toxic music, toxic food, toxic anything. There are things you cannot avoid. You cannot avoid, like someone dying. That's understandable, and that's when we try to get help if it's overwhelming. Yes, but the things that we can avoid, people, and I've had to experience this. I've had to experience this every day of my life when I think something is good for me or someone is good for me, and then I realized that thing or that person is not. And it's painful to come to that conclusion and say, oh my goodness, I gotta get this out of my life. It's hard. It's really hard. So I'm not here to be preachy again and tell you how to live your life because it's so easy. No, I'm here to share with you, and just we're here to share with each other and help each other. So watch out for those soft triggers. If you're watching a movie and it makes you feel uncomfortable, change the show, change the movie. If you're watching, because I remember one time there was this show I was watching, and my friend had told me that it was a good show, and it actually ended up being a really good show. But it went on for about 6 or 7 seasons, and I actually liked the first season, liked the second season, like the third season, and then when I got to the fourth and the fifth season, it started getting really disturbing. Like, I didn't like the images I was seeing. They weren't making me feel good. And I remember going to her and saying, I'm not gonna watch this show anymore, okay? Because now it's getting weird. The images are getting a little too much for me. And she said, well, skip it. It's that simple. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Skip to a season that you like, or start watching something else altogether, because you gotta look out for you. When there are things in your life that don't feel good, that is the first step to healing and recovery, is take the stuff out of your life that does not feel good. I don't care what it is. I don't care if people tell you that it's necessary. I'm talking about if you go into a church where they judge you and make you feel terrible about yourself, but you keep making yourself go because it's church. Do you know how many churches there are out here? Change churches. Stop going there. Some people are going to be mad that I'm saying this, but this is a good example. You have people that are depressed about stuff that you can stop doing or stop being around because you're worried about what people are going to say about you. That is one of the biggest problems in society, worrying about what people are going to say about you. You know what I'm saying? That's even one of the reasons why I didn't start a vlog 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, because I was worried about, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing. People are going to troll on me. People are going to judge me. People are going to talk about how I look. People are going to talk about this. And I had to do some growing, and I'm still growing. But to get to the point where I'm saying, I've got to follow my calling. I've got to follow my dreams. I got to do what I got to do in life and not worry about what people are saying. Because like we said last episode, those people are not happy. The reason they're judging you, talking about you, taking all the time in the world to see what you're doing and then talk about what you're doing is because they're not happy in their lives. Happy, wholesome, healthy people don't have time to sit around and gossip about what everybody else is doing. So always remember that. Always remember that. So that brings us to the end of this episode 3 of How to Beat Depression, which was triggers. I think we're doing pretty good so far. We're making a lot of progress. I always say, if there's something I'm missing, something you'd like for me to talk about, especially on this topic, comment on the bottom. Remember to subscribe. Remember to click on the bell next to the subscribe so that you can get a notification every time I post something. Also remember to like the video. You'll feel welcome to dislike the video as well. I always say I welcome haters too. Love y'all. And share. Share. Sharing is caring. Somebody out there might be going through something that this might help them with. So please remember to share. Feel free to share. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with this. I always leave you with this. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Don't ever give up on yourself. Giving up is not an option. Giving up on yourself is never an option. Okay? All right. Ciao.